I like studying
Yeah.
people. I don't know. That's just me. I like,
Yeah.
yeah. So if I was in
Yeah.
person, I would probably know more. I have like everything, body language and everything.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So how about what was the one on the back that you and also there's the other thing you said earlier. I don't know if you know you said it, but you said it. You said, and there's then the stuff that I don't talk about.
I don't remember saying that.
You,
I'm not.
you
I
don't
don't.
remember.
Was that one when I said I went through things to get where I am now? Wasn't that with such a
Well,
young man? Or...
that was after the back when you were talking about you were like say you said something like and then there's other stuff that I I tell everyone everything, and then there's a couple of things I don't really talk about, and then you
I mean,
jumped into the
it is. I think I said that because I don't. I can tell you personally, but I forgot that.
yeah.
I'm so into the
Yeah.
conversation that I forget. Yeah.
Welcome to the Taking Off the Mask podcast. My name is Ashanti Branch, and I'm really glad you've joined us. Today's guest is Kevin Romero, a young man from Oakland, California, in college, figuring out the next journey of his life. He came to our first community-based Men in Masks workshop. And from that workshop, he came to another workshop where he got to see us do a presentation with some students. And he's getting inspired. And you're going to hear some of his story in this conversation, how he trusted a friend of his, showed up to a workshop, and now is setting himself up for an internship and to work on not only the work that we do with the Million Mask Movement, but the work that we're doing in this podcast. He himself has goals of starting a podcast. Like I couldn't have planned it any better. The young man who actually introduced him is one of our young men who was in our Social Emotional Leadership Academy last summer. And he himself yet has not made time to be on the podcast. So it's always ironic how connections lead to other connections. In this conversation, you're going to hear him talk about growing up and about life and about these masks and about the journey. I think he's still finding language to explain how to talk about those hard things. I believe in this conversation, some more seeds were planted into his connection with not only the work that we're doing in Ever Forward, but the work that we're doing with these masks. Remember, the front of the mask are the things that we gladly let the people see about us, the front. The back of the mask are the things that we don't normally talk about. If you haven't yet made a mask, you can do that at 100kmasks.com. And real soon, we're going to be launching the new version of the website. We've been having great success in workshops with this new version, and we're really excited about what you're going to see. Thank you for being a part of this journey with us. If you haven't seen one of our recent posts, we reached 2021, so 2021 downloads of the podcast, and we couldn't do it without you. If you know anybody who needs to hear this conversation today, and with a teenager, a young man learning about these masks, please share this with them. And we look forward to you being a part of the movement with us. Enjoy the show.
I'm in
All right.
it has my logo and everything. It says,
All right.
make it okay. I'm good, right?
All right. There you go. Well, now you got
All right.
it.
Thank
So
you.
now, yeah, right on. Right on. Thank you for accepting the opportunity to push the goal forward.
Oh, of course. I have to. It's something I want to do. I want to make it a business. I want to make it a. I want to inspire others.
Yeah.
So yeah. So thank you.
What tell me more about the desire to inspire others. Why do you want to inspire others?
I want to inspire others because I've I've gone through certain things in my life. I've had stuff that I've been through in my life that some may relate to and some others may not relate to, and mine was
Yeah.
a very unique story. So ever since I was a little kid, I was always like that person to be helpful. I was never, because my parents, that's who they raised me. That's what they raised me as. They wanted me to be helpful. And so
Yeah.
it was just something that like, I was like, it was just like a gift that was given to me. Like, go help others. You have it. So
Yeah.
go do it. So it just came from within. It was just something that was like, go help this person because they're suffering or they're going through something, and I can see through their pain and they're holding it back. So then I go and help them, even if they're
Mm.
not asking. Like,
So
yeah.
I mean that already starts to really get at the part of like there must be a reason that we're right now in this conversation. So let's jump in. I have a
Okay.
feeling that this is gonna come to the all of it's gonna come to the surface in terms of where we are right now. So we're 9 minutes and 32 seconds into the recording, but this is where the podcast is gonna start. So welcome to the podcasting world.
All right. Thank you.
Right? So
Thank you. Yeah.
this would be your first podcast that you've been on, and later today you're gonna make the intro for your own podcast.
Intro for my own podcast. Okay, sounds good.
You're gonna record the intro. You're gonna record
Oh,
your
in here
intro.
in this
Well,
podcast?
when you hang up with me,
Oh, okay.
you're gonna download the app on your phone, and
Uh-huh.
you're gonna go in and you're gonna record the intro.
Okay.
You don't have to publish it. You're gonna record it and get it in there. You're gonna
Okay.
add some sound effects. You're gonna see how cool it is.
Okay.
I think it may,
I'm gonna
but
overcomplicate that too.
no, you're not. No, you're not. Because you're gonna give yourself a deadline, and then
Oh, okay.
you're gonna make a commitment that you're gonna share it with me by a certain time.
Okay. Oh, you're really
Yeah,
pushing me. Oh, thank you. I'm very grateful and thankful that you're in my life right now.
right on, man. I'm glad you showed up. I'm glad you took Choke's advice and showed up.
I mean, it's
That
because I was speaking to him as in like I asked him what he wanted to do with his career, and he asked me what I wanted to do, and I spoke to him, and then I guess it was a voice memo that I sent to him because I like speaking. I don't really like typing, so I sent it to him, and he
yeah,
said, I have a really good friend of mine named blah blah blah, and then he just described you and everything. He was like, check him out. Tell me what you think of him. If you like him, I'll set up a meeting with you guys, and you guys can talk it out and see where it goes. And I was like, okay. And then out of nowhere, he just sent me a link. He was like, join this, and I was like, okay, okay. And I joined it, and he didn't say that you were gonna be there or anything. I just joined it, and I saw that it was you, and I was like, should I DM him? Should I do it? Like, I didn't know what to do, and I was like, okay, I'll just go throughout the process that like everything that you were going to talk about, and then just talk to you at the end. That was my goal, but I don't know.
wow, right on.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you did. I mean, and I was worried. I saw you there in the room after the workshop, and I was like, the name sounds familiar, but I don't think I know this person. But I was like, hey, so I sent you the message. I was like, hey, just checking in. Thank you for being here. And then I was like, because sometimes I've done a lot of workshops where people like if it's live, right, I'm by the stage, and they'll kind of wait off to the side because they want to wait till everyone finishes. And I knew those men that were in that room, they would never leave. Like they
Mm.
would be there. They would have been, if we could have stayed till, if we stayed till 10, they would have stayed till 10. And I knew I would have to like close it because we just get into the conversation. And that's why I started connecting with you. I was like, and then you told me that Choke had connected you. I was like, oh, because he mentioned to me that he had somebody that he was thinking about connecting me with, but
Mm-hmm.
he hadn't told me anything about you yet, because I think he was waiting for you to say yes or whatever. And so everything happens for a reason,
Yeah.
so imagine that.
Yeah,
Imagine that.
I was thinking about it. I was like, that night, because I reflect on my days every night. So
Yeah.
that night, I was like, what if I had other stuff to do and I didn't click on that link? Where would I be now? And I was just thinking, I was like, I would have never taken this step. I would have never been here. I would have never learned this. And I was just glad that everything that it happened.
Me too, man. Me too. Well, let's do it. We're gonna go and jump into the mask, and I think we've already started the show. So imagine, who knows where Ryan's gonna make this cut, but I'll put at 13 minutes is where he's gonna see the podcast start. But I think that conversation we just had is actually really beautiful. So let's do it.
All right.
Welcome to the Taking Off the Mask podcast, Kevin. I'm glad you're here with us today.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm here too.
Man, well, look, we just met a couple of days ago, so I
Mm-hmm.
want to just like set the stage for everyone out there. Kevin came to our Taking Off the Mask men's workshop. It's a workshop that I have been thinking about for years, probably more than like 3 to 4 years, and I just never hosted it. And thanks to a friend, a man on one of my men's teams, he he connected me. He said, "Look, we're gonna do it. You've been talking about it. Let's do it." And I'm like, "Yeah, but," and he pushed me. So the workshop that we had on last week was the catalyst to me first connecting with you, Kevin. So
Yeah.
thank you for being here today.
No, I'm grateful for being here.
And I heard so here's what you do. This is not an interview, which is really awesome because it's just a conversation
Yeah.
between two men having a conversation,
Hmm.
And I think I'm really excited to be in this million mask movement with you because you actually so I mean I'm trying to give you some background because this is a different show than some other shows because um, you not only have made a mask already, you actually seen me present
Yeah.
just recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, at Cal State University, Monterey Bay.
Hmm.
No, not Monterey Bay. Yeah,
Yeah, it
no,
was Monterey Bay.
Merced. Was it Monterey Bay?
Monterey Bay. Yeah, Monterey Bay.
Was
UCM.
Monterey Bay?
Yeah,
Okay,
Monterey Bay.
okay. I'll get mixed up. Merced, not Merced. Was it Merced? Was it Merced? Was it Merced?
No, Mercedes
No, it
MB
wasn't. It wasn't Merced.
CED. Monterey Bay. It was MB because I saw the link that said use
Okay.
CSUMB.
I don't know why I got that mixed up, right? But it was just like yesterday. What is today? It was
It was
yesterday.
yesterday.
It was
Yesterday,
yesterday at
the
five at
six,
5 p.m.
yeah, 16.
Almost 24 hours ago.
Hmm.
Man, well, I'm excited that we get to now talk about it because you've made maybe two masks at this point, or maybe not,
Three.
but
This is
three.
my
So
third one right
now
now.
we get to talk about them. We
Okay.
before they got to be made anonymously, and now we get to share. So you had a little practice, yeah?
Yeah, I had practice.
All right. Well, now the way we do it is before we start. I'm already so excited to talk to you that I'm not even doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Why don't you tell folks about you? That's supposed to be first. I'm
Okay.
supposed to be letting
Okay.
you. So tell folks about you. Who are you? Whatever you can share just to give us an idea of who is Kevin Romero.
All right. So my name is Kevin Romero. I'm an 18-year-old boy, Latino male from El Salvador, born and raised in Oakland, California. Um, I don't really know where to go after that. To be honest, it's just I'm just I don't have anything. I'm not working on anything. I'm in school, um, and I want to inspire people to have a better life.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
That's awesome. And so, yeah, I would say just take out the part like I don't have anything. I'm not working on anything. To leave that part out, right? And you just say I want to help people,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Because that's big.
Yeah, it is. It is.
The
And
desire to want to help people and change people's lives. That's a big desire.
uh,
Now the question is, what are you going to do?
what am I going to do to inspire them?
Well, you don't have to answer that right. Well, that is the question, right? Because now that you know what you want to do, the question is, what are you going to do about that want?
Mm, okay. You
Hmm.
want me to talk about it?
I don't know. I don't know if you're ready yet. Maybe you want to do the mask first. I don't know. They just
However you want to take it. I don't know. I mean, I just go with whatever, however, because I could sidetrack and then come back. It doesn't matter. I love conversations.
all right. Well, that's good. Well, that's what this is. So, how about we do the mask, and then maybe some of those things that you have just asked yourself, like I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how to. Whatever that may be, whatever's the next step, is going to come to an answer by the time we leave here today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the goal. That's the goal. I'm gonna have an
Well,
answer by the time I leave.
all right. Well, I don't know. I would say let's not put the stress on the having an answer. Let's just enjoy the conversation, and let's imagine that something out of this conversation is going to lead to the next thing. Right.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Fantastic. All right. So here's what we're going to do. You get to decide as a guest. Do you want to share your mask first, or do you want me to share mine first? And then we'll go front, back, or whichever order. But you decide who goes first.
Um, since it's your show, your podcast, I want you to go first, and then I'll share mine to see how I gotta set my tone to match your energy.
Oh man. Okay. I got you. All right. Well, I will go first. It's always the guest decision. So we'll take that as the way we're gonna move forward. So here we go. So here's my mask. Let me see, make sure I get the lighting right. That's what it looks like. I'm only gonna show the front first. And my light is doing some funny stuff here. I don't know, my camera just went crazy. All right, so there's the mask that I drew, and here are the words I wrote on the front: caring, hardworking, and serious.
Mm.
And I guess I'll start with the one I just want to. Yeah, so let me just share the front, and then have you share your front, and then maybe we could talk about it. I think I'll
Okay.
talk about. I usually have funny on here, and I don't know why I don't have funny on here. I really enjoy like not only laughing, I enjoy humor, I enjoy funny stuff. and caring was a new one that I just recently added. So, but funny is usually always on here, and I didn't write it today, which is interesting. So, but since there's only three, those are the three that came up today. So, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know we were supposed to rate just three. I wrote.
Oh no, you can have as many as you. No,
Oh, okay.
we asked people for three because we think three is simple enough for people to do,
Hmm.
but it is open to however go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So your turn. You're gonna go
Oh, my
front.
turn, my turn. I thought you were gonna speak
Yeah.
on it, on why you wrote them and stuff like that. But okay,
Well, I mean, I could. No, I thank you. I mean, we do it in lots of different ways. I think caring is the one that I am really doing my best to really keep. I know I'm hardworking, and I'm always talking about how much I work hard. I don't talk about how I show care, right?
hmm
I'm really serious. People who know me, I'm really serious. I'm hardworking and serious, but I'm also really caring. And sometimes I would say when you're really serious and hardworking, um, caring sometimes looks very different. So, like, let's say I'm with a group of my young men and we're out at, in Los Angeles on a college tour and I'm getting on their case. Like, some stranger will be like, hey, take it easy on them.
Mm,
Right. Like, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I've like, this is my care. So this is not your conversation, first of all. Second of all, like, this student knows how he should be acting out here in public, blah blah blah. And also, this is how I'm showing care to him because I want him to be respected. I want him to be treated a certain way in society, and therefore, if his behavior doesn't require that, the people will treat him poorly, right?
hmm
So, I think my care shows up in lots of different ways, and sometimes for some people, it may seem a little harsh, right? But even though I know that it's not coming from a place of really anger, or maybe frustration, but it's definitely coming from a place of love, So I don't know. That's a quick little description of that.
I loved it.
Okay.
I loved it though.
All right. It's on you.
All right, my turn. I mean, I printed out the template you gave me, so I just
Oh,
drove.
okay.
I mean, I'm bad at drawing, so I just drew like a human. It's just a human.
Okay.
And
Right
then the
on.
words are loud, positive, joyful, funny, and energetic.
Nice.
Because those are the things I show. I'm energetic. I always have energy, even on those days that that are you're pretty down. I still have energy. I still find a way to bring out energy. I'm loud, and I want to talk more on that later. I'm just a loud person. I mean, I'm always loud. I'm positive, or I try to have positive attitude, a positive mind always. I never like to see the negative side of things. I always try to stay as positive as possible. And if people are negative around me, I feel that energy, and I always try to make them a
Mm,
little more positive. And I'm joyful and funny. I mean,
mm.
I guess it's just a gift. As a Leo, I mean, I shine. you know, I just shine around other people, and it just is something. I'm always smiling. It's not intentional. I don't try to do it. It's just I'm smiling. I'm funny, and it's just who I am, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, man. Thank
yeah.
you. I think maybe we come back to that. I think I want to talk about that smile all the time, right? It's an interesting one because I wrote something about that recently about smiling all the time. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could talk on that.
Okay. Now we're gonna go to the back.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Interesting. Okay. You ready?
If you want, I can start first, and then you can go.
No,
We could switch up
it's
the
just
roles.
it's you're the guest, so you get to choose. So I'm you told me to go first, but I'm open to giving it back to you to go first if you want. There's
I
no
mean, it's just
pressure.
to switch up the roles. So, like, you started first, and then I went, and now it's my turn to
Hey,
go, and then you go.
I, I I trust your intuition right now.
Okay.
Okay, right
No, it's
on,
because I
right
just
on.
saw the little, like, you were a little hesitant, so I'll take it for you.
Well, like I make a mask a couple times a week, so
Oh.
I'm always having to ask myself, am I stretching myself, right?
Mm.
Am I pushing myself on the back, right? Like you
Mhm.
heard me tell a story yesterday that I usually don't tell, right?
Mhm.
Um, and so I'm like always asking myself, did I stretch? Is this really present right now, or am I writing words that I'm just comfortable writing, right? Like I share about my mask a lot, so you know if you share about yourself a lot, then sometimes it's like, am I pushing myself? Like I want to almost feel what the guest feels when they're like making it for the first time. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, can I share this? Is anybody gonna laugh at me? Are they gonna make fun of me? And so I'm always kind of when I thought about it, I was like, okay, yeah, this is real today. This is true today, right? Yeah. So that's where it's at, right?
So, yeah, I know you
Yeah.
just touched
So
on. I know you just touched on. I'm sorry, I cut you off. I know you just touched on like having that like little struggle of like writing it out. I had that struggle when I was writing it too. I'm not gonna lie, because I'm really
okay.
open about my life to everyone, and I
Okay.
don't like holding things back. I don't like holding things inside of me. So I struggled when I was writing it too. I'm not gonna lie.
All right. Well then let's do it. Let's for two men who are good talking about their stuff, then let's see how it comes to the middle right
All
here.
right, I'm just gonna
All
open it
right.
up because I folded it down the middle.
Okay.
But
Okay.
so I didn't draw a picture because it doesn't say pictures, it's
Okay.
words only. But I
Yeah.
put scared, non-energetic. I'm in fear, and I went through things to get where I am now. Those are the things I wrote because I
Mm,
couldn't find. Because as of right now, I'm not. I, I don't have anything in. I'm not hiding anything inside. I'm just not. I don't
mm,
have anything there to hide because I
yeah.
already spoke out on it. So everyone and anyone that knows me already knows the story. I've told everyone, and I'm not scared to
Okay.
show that story. I'm not scared to share it. I could speak on it, but there are other things that I don't. I also wouldn't share. But so I wrote scared because there's certain things that frighten me. There's those things that
Mm,
like you're scared of not, or I'm scared of not being enough for parents or for family members who are thinking that you should be up here, but really I'm down here, but they don't know how much of a struggle and how much of a rock they've put on my shoulders that I have to carry up this hill. They haven't seen that. And I can't tell them that I have that because of them, because then I don't want to miss that connection with them. I don't want to ruin that what we have
yeah.
already because I've worked so hard to get it. And I'm in fear. I mean, that just goes together with scared and non-energetic. I don't know what I meant by writing that, but I wrote it down. So
Mm,
it means like I get okay. So since I wrote it down, now I'm thinking about it. Non-energetic. What I meant like by writing it down is that so there's those times where I'm super energetic, but there's also those times where I have to be energetic because the people around me aren't energetic and they're going through things. So I want to bring my energy and make them happy. I want to make them smile.
yeah.
Excuse me. And yeah, not your turn.
We. Oh man.
Excuse me.
I appreciate that. You talked about I'm gonna share this, Emma. You talked about being putting on the energy for people around you who are going through things.
Hmm.
Like putting on the smile because when people you want to keep things positive.
Yes, always.
You talked about trying to hit this mark that you don't feel at and feeling like you're here, but you can't really tell somebody about it.
Well, yes, yes.
Hmm. Yeah, thank you, brother. Okay, I'm gonna read this one. Um, okay, so this is the back. And the first thing I'm going to explain is fear, and normally it's fear of failure, right? That's what my main number one fear I think is. And the other day I was writing a post, I think on LinkedIn. I was like, well, maybe I'm fear of success, and maybe I'm fear of like being too much, and maybe I'm fear of like people think I'm bragging. Maybe I'm fear like all I had long list of things I'm actually probably afraid of, but I always just grouped it into fear of failure. But I think there's so many things that hold me back, and I got to encourage you to like uh create the podcast that you say you wanted to create.
Hmm.
Like that is like, what I was trying to do for you
Well,
is what like deep down I wish somebody at some points in my life would do for me.
mm,
Right. I growing up I didn't have a mentor, um and when I created what I'm doing ever forward right now is because man, I wish somebody had heard what I said I wanted and pushed me a little bit. Like I was a hard worker. I wasn't sitting around waiting for I was a hard worker. But man, I just need a little boost sometimes,
mhm,
right? Sometimes I think that I live in a society, in a community in Oakland where it's like you're supposed to do it by yourself. You're supposed to be tough. You're supposed to be strong. You're supposed to have all the answers. You're supposed to
yep,
always have everything under control.
yep,
And I think that I didn't always feel like I had it under control. I felt like I had some things under control, but there was so many things that I felt like were I just needed a little bit of help. I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't know how to. I I think I was taught subconsciously that asking for help means you're not tough enough or strong enough or smart enough to do stuff. So therefore, I would just handle it the best I could. And I'm still working on that, asking for help. I still got people in my life who are like, you need to be asking for help. And I'm like, I know. Right. And so
Yeah.
that's as an adult. I'm much older than you are. Well, man, I don't think I knew you were 18. So that's all even more amazing. Right. Like you carry that energy very well. Okay. Here's the next one. Sadness about death and trauma, childhood trauma. And so I think when you talked about I've been through some things to get to where I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been through a lot of things. And yeah, that's where the back of mine is sitting right now.
Okay.
Yeah. What are you thinking about right now?
What am I thinking about? That
Yeah.
you shared on one that wasn't as wasn't as touching as the other two, because the other two you could have spoke about, but you would rather keep it to yourself. That means they hurt more than the first one you talked about. That's what I was thinking
Mm.
about because I saw it in your facial expression.
Yeah, which two? Which two? Which
The
two?
the the last two bullet points that you have, the sadness
Okay.
and the trauma one.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I always decide. I mean, I think you know, my father died before I was born.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I there's this book I'm reading. I don't know if it's on the desk right now. It's somewhere around here. It's a book called is it right here? Yeah. It's right here. I'm making a bunch of mess. This book is called It Didn't Start With You,
Mm-hmm.
right? How inherited family trauma from the people in our lives, our
Mm-hmm.
family,
Yeah.
shapes who we are and how to end the cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I first started reading this, I was listening to the audio, and I said, I got to have this book. So I got to write in it. They talked about how our trauma it sometimes carried down from generations, right? Trauma, not just the genetic code of who we are, but just the stuff, right? Like my father died before I was born, 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Like my mom, I was in her belly. Like there's not a lot of studies that say how did my mom's sadness. I mean, I was bathed in sadness for months.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was bathed in it.
Yeah.
I was in a
Sadness
vessel
of
in
yeah.
sadness, like born in it, like
Yeah.
born in the womb. There was 3 months of sadness while this father who was supposed to be there is now gone. What does that do to the child? Well, I know deep. If I look back, I have a deep sadness about death.
Mm-hmm.
Like when there's somebody in the family dies, I don't really want to go to the funeral. I usually
Mm-hmm.
go, but I don't really want to go. Like it makes me really sad. The fact that over 500,000 people have died in this country, I have to consciously keep presence every day. Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
take that number for lightly. That's some people are just saying that number like it's no big deal. Like my grandmother died January of last year. Like I miss her tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that when I think about sadness about death, like I prefer not to talk about it, right? I prefer not to talk about it. I prefer not to think about it. My cousins just sold her house. Like, you know how mad I am? Like I am constantly in an unconscious state of rage that that house that I've been going to my whole life on 82nd Avenue in Oakland, California, 81st, excuse me. I just know I come down to 82nd, I turn 81st, right? They sold her house. Like because they want money. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. It makes me like I'm sad, but I'm sad. I'd rather have my grandmother. But it was her time, right? She was 98. She lived a full life. But I also recognize that my anger right now, I have to manage it because I can't believe. I mean, yeah, I can't believe they did that, right?
So you
And I
grew
can believe it, right?
so you grew up in that house, and that angered you now because you were raised in there. Basically, is that what you're trying to say? Or
No. Well, when I said I wasn't raised in there, but slightly. I mean, I spent almost every other weekend at my grandmother's house. You know,
mm,
she would bring all the cousins over. She would cook. She would hang out with us, right?
oh, okay.
Take us to church. So I wasn't raised in that house. I never lived there, but I spent hundreds of times in that house, right?
Okay.
That's my grandmother's house, right?
Hmm.
She bought that house during the war, 1940s. She bought
Oh,
that
okay.
house,
Okay.
and these folks, in the matter of 1 year of her death, they sold it, and yeah. So those are the sadness. So the sadness about death and sadness about that, and then the childhood stuff. Yeah. So lots of stuff, man. Yeah. So I always decide like how deep to go on which ones. Like there's always more story to the story, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Always.
There's always more story to the story. So it's kind of like, well, it's kind of like the back of yours. Like when you talked about a couple of them, you didn't talk about the things you've been through in your life, right?
Oh yeah. I haven't.
Yeah, yeah. So see, it's always when we get to that place of like talking about the things off the table, right?
Hmm.
All right, off the
Yeah.
record, right?
Yeah.
Like we can't just be like, oh, hey, off the record. Stop the recording.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Stop
I see.
recording.
I see.
Right?
I see.
We can, but we also know that okay, what can I what part is really present right now? You know. So
Hmm.
thank you for mentioning that. I appreciate that. It's definitely something that is always in the back of my mind. These
Hmm.
other things, and then I decide, we all make a decisions like who can handle it. Can the
Yeah.
person handle it? So yeah. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. I mean, it was something I noticed. I like studying
Yeah,
people. I don't know. That's just me. I like.
yeah,
Yeah. So if I was in
yeah.
person, I would probably know more. I have like everything, body language and everything.
Interesting,
Yeah.
interesting. So how about what was the one on the back that you and also there's the other thing you said earlier. I don't know if you said it, but you said it. You said, and there's then the stuff that I don't talk about.
I don't remember saying that.
You,
I'm not.
you
I don't.
don't remember.
Was that one when I said I went through things to get where I am now? And I was touching
Well,
on that one. Or,
that was after the back when you were talking about you were like, say you said something like, and then there's other stuff that I usually I tell everyone everything, and then there's a couple of things I don't really talk about, and then you
I mean,
jumped into the
it is. I think I said that because I don't. I can tell you personally, but I forgot that.
yeah,
I'm so into the
yeah.
conversation that I forget. Yeah. So
Yeah, no, I'm glad. Thank you. So that's what I said. In that moment you said it, I took it in. I just let it marinate, and then I just wait. Right. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that as well. So of those things that you did write about, like of the things that you are able to talk about, what like now you just finishing, you're in your first year of college, right?
yeah, first year of college,
Like so, as a young man in this community, and what city do you live in?
Oakland, West
Yeah.
Oakland.
West Oakland. So, in this young men in this community, like, what, like your mask? How often do you notice your mask? Like before 2 days ago, when you came to that first workshop, had you thought about this idea of masks in
Yeah,
that way?
always.
Yeah.
I see
Tell
it.
me. Tell me.
Everybody carries it. Everyone carries it. And I think I became aware of it during quarantine. So I'm happy quarantine like came about and everything. I'm not happy about like what's happening and people getting sick and everything, but I'm just happy like that I got the time necessary to focus on myself and see myself for who I really am.
Hmm.
Um so before I actually went to your workshop, I was really in like a really dark place because I was in a relationship that wasn't really
Hmm.
healthy. It wasn't the best for me, and I never noticed it. But the people around me, everyone, when I was out of that relationship, they said, "You look so much better. You act so much better." I was
Hmm.
love can like sometimes like blind you so much that you're so deep in the waters, and that when you finally come out, you're like, "Wow, I was really there, and now I'm here." So I noticed it that I was
Hmm.
carrying on that mask, and I kept telling everyone that I was happy and I was in the best relationship ever when really I don't want to speak too much on that, but it wasn't the best relationship that I could have had for myself. Like
Hmm.
I wish it would have gone differently. Like if I was in this mentality right now,
Yeah.
I would have done something different. So I noticed that mask that I
Yeah.
was putting on, and then I started noticing that everyone after I noticed that within myself, I started noticing that everyone had that little thing they bragged about the most. But when you really had that deep conversation with them, especially late at night, pillow talks and everything, they start bringing out those little like things that they're holding on to them that they don't want the world to know. So I noticed that everyone has them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, keep going.
I
No,
mean,
keep
no,
going.
it's
You're
just
doing. I was just taking it in.
it's just that I've noticed that everyone carries them, no matter who it is, where they are, and sometimes I wanna they have it on so tightly and grasp onto it so tightly that sometimes you can just go in there and slightly take it off, and then that's when they start talking about it, and they're like, "How do you know that I went through this and this?" But those are the things that they brag about the most. Those are the things that they're like I let's take for example me. Like let's say I'm super happy, right? This is just an example. I am super happy. This is just an example. So the people will go up to me and be like, "You're super happy. You're always smiling." Blah 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 blah. So if I saw that standing over here, let's say I was in my mind and I was over here and I saw that, I could go and grasp it and be like, "Are you really this happy?" And then you start like just picking at them. Are you really this happy? And then it's not a way of me like hurting them, but it's a way of like just taking off this
Mhm.
layer that they have and then taking it off again
Mm.
and again and until I finally notice that they're not really happy. They have something there. But and I go to them
Yeah.
like, if you don't want to talk about it, don't. But if you need somebody, I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's really powerful for you. I want to say that's really powerful, and I really appreciate that. I think because you know what it's like to have to keep the smile on, it sounds like you have a deep connection to people who also have to try and keep the mask on.
yeah. But I
Like,
mean, but even though I have my smile on, I mean, there was a time where people didn't know that I was smiling, but there was pain behind that smile because
yeah,
I smile so much.
yeah, yeah.
But
And did people come to you and say, "Hey, are you? Is everything all right? Are you sure everything's
never,
all right?"
never.
No one came to you.
Uh, there was a time though that friends reached out and they were like, if you need something, if you're going through something or something like that, like they were like, we're here for you. And but
Yeah.
at that time, I didn't really need them anymore. It was I needed them then. So something could have happened, but it didn't happen.
Hmm. One question would be, or one thought, because I try not to ask you a lot of questions, but I think there's in this conversation. How, who, it's like three questions at once. How, who, when, where. Um, do you feel like you have someone in your life where you can go on a regular basis to take off the mask?
Yeah, myself in the mirror every day.
Yeah.
I don't.
Go ahead. Keep going. Keep going.
I
Keep
mean,
going.
because you're
Keep going.
touching on it, but I really
Hmm.
like focusing on myself. I like
Yeah.
because there are people you could go to like tell them like I'm going through this and this, but nobody's going to
Yeah.
understand you the way you understand yourself. You know your limits, you know everything. So I'll stand in the mirror and I tell myself everything, and it's just me. So I listen to what I'm saying. I listen to my thoughts, to my anger, to my sadness and everything. I take off that mask
Mm.
and I look at myself directly in the eyes and I tell myself those things. And I brush them off and I just let those things go and I'm like, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna be a better version of myself than I am today. And that's always my mindset every morning. I have to be a better person than the person I was yesterday.
Mm.
So I
That's
don't
beautiful.
I don't go to people. I go to myself because I relied on people too much. And sometimes you look for something that they can't give you, but you can find it within yourself.
There we go. I think we're getting somewhere. Okay. So you used to go to people.
I used to go to people, yeah.
You used to go to people. Okay. So the going to yourself came out of some experiments or some testing the waters. Okay.
Mhm.
Can
Okay.
we go there? Can we
Yeah.
go there? What did you said you were looking for something in people that they couldn't give you?
Yeah. So
Yeah. Man. Just take that in, right? Like we go to people who we are hoping they're going to fix the thing, and they maybe the goal is for them not to fix it, but just to hold space for it.
mm,
Maybe it was never meant, the idea of sharing it or revealing it to someone is not so they can fix it for us, but for us to just recognize that I don't have to carry the load by myself.
I can share it with somebody else.
Yeah.
But that also brings them down.
Mm.
And I've noticed that because I go to so many people to help them that sometimes it can bring me down as well.
Yeah. And then what? What happens when you feel like it is bringing you down?
This is gonna sound really mean, but I kind of close those connections off. I just I know myself, but so it's something that I recently noticed though. So I
Mm,
told the new friendships I'm getting, I tell
yeah.
them if I ever just go ghost and I don't text for something, be respectful of it. Please don't bother me. Just be excuse me. I ate a lot before this call. I'm really sorry. um,
No worries.
I just tell them be respectful. Be respectful of me. Like don't bother me. Don't go and hit me up. Don't ask. Like always beg for my attention because if I just go away, I need that time for myself. So those are the new connections that I
Mm,
have now. That's what I tell them in case. But I if they're telling me a lot of things and I have all this weight bringing me down, this 200 kilogram weight on my shoulder, I just tell them
yeah.
I don't say anything. I just don't say anything. I'll just turn off my phone, leave it alone, and I'll live my life. Go do something.
Yeah.
Focus my energy somewhere else.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you sharing that. Thank
Oh
you.
yeah, I don't
And I
mind. I
think
think
that it is well, yeah, I think you were I mean, I think it's about boundaries, right? Understanding boundaries. Interesting point you said that cuz I that's actually I'm glad you actually just said that one. You tell people in your life, new relationships that look, if I go if I disappear,
hmm
just let me disappear.
yeah.
I guess I would ask you that question because this well maybe this is a new like this is you said this is a new way that you're approaching new relationships, friendships,
This
and
is
things
a
like
new
that,
way,
right?
yeah,
A new
because
way.
and I mean, I've always been a person that keeps like things to myself. I've always been that
Hmm.
type of person. I never really went out and seeked help from anyone like that. It
Hmm.
was just like I had to carry it, you know. But you
Yeah.
have to let it out somewhere. But um, so I noticed it though. I noticed it that like sometimes I would like cut them off, and I would have that constant nagging, like, "Hey, why did you leave? Did I do something wrong?" And the person thought that they had done something, but in reality, it wasn't them. Like it was just that I was in a really bad mental and physical state.
Yeah. And I wonder. I mean, think about that. Like, I run a mentoring organization, so
hmm
I've had young men who have disappeared. Like you're texting, they're not responding, and I'm coming for you. You know what I mean? I'm coming.
So you're
I'm
saying like if we had a relationship and I just went MIA on you, you would come for me. You would go to my house, knock on the door, be like, "Hey, are you okay?"
if I knew where you lived, if I knew, or I'll send you like I'll send you a book on text. And there's no remember the old school text. You don't know old school text. You just know new school text. Old
No,
school text.
tell me about it. I want to know.
The old school text. If I would text you like I would go to some website and I would copy a manuscript
hmm
and then I would text it to somebody. And what would happen is the text could only capture so many characters.
hmm
So what it would do is it would send a little bit, then a little bit, and it would send like
Oh,
50
I
to
know what you
100
mean. I
different
used to
text
have a phone
messages.
like that. I used to have a phone like that.
Yeah. So that's so when they wouldn't answer, I'm like, all right, you about to get a book. So I would go some website, copy some text, something meaningful text, just in case it was,
Mhm.
and I would text it to them, and then they would be like, stop blowing up my phone. Like I can't, like my phone just won't stop. Bzz, 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 bzz. They
Mhm.
just keep, and then they finally either will say, don't bother me. But most times it wasn't. It was more like, and I think the question is different between a mentor maybe and a friend, or I don't know. And then all relationships are relationships, right? But
Mhm.
like, how does someone, if you are going through something, if you are feeling overloaded and you go into like, I'm gonna do it by myself mode, like I think some people would say, why are you doing it alone? Like, why do you want to do it alone? Why do you want to hold all that by yourself? And it may be just like, well, that one person, they're not ready to handle any of that stuff that I'm carrying. So I'm going to not tell them about it. But the idea of like, I'm going to just disappear, and the power of these things, right? The power of these are like, you can just not reply. I mean, wow, that's powerful, right? It's power
Yeah.
from one side to be like, I'm not responding. I'm not going to even answer. I'm not even going to say nothing. I'm going to ignore this person for a month, right? Or 2 months,
Oh, okay.
three,
But
four.
it isn't like that either. I don't do that with my relationships, like my friendships. And these are all friendships. I don't have anyone right now. So it's not that like I'll be like oh, I'll cut them off for 2 months and I'll leave. Like, it's just me, I guess, taking the time. But so I found it. Hold on, can you restate the question? Because I lost it. I lost track.
Oh yeah, I don't think it was a good question. I was just making. I was more making an I was making somewhat an observation. If like the way I heard you describe it was like you would tell somebody, look, if I stop, responding, just give me my space. Now
Mm-hmm.
maybe I don't know if that was a specific scenario when that would happen, but I imagine if a friend, somebody who really cared about you, and you were to disappear without telling them, without like if they didn't know that present mode that you're going to go in disappear mode, right? If they didn't know, they would just keep coming after you. Like I would be like, dude, where are you at? What's going on? Are you safe? Are you alive? Are you well? Are you healthy? What's going,
Mm-hmm.
like as a friend, as a person who really cares about people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And imagine how you would handle that if it was you going to a friend and you're like, they haven't responded in like weeks. Like, what's going on? Are they
I see
okay?
where it's going. Okay.
Yeah.
Um. So I mean, let's take you into scenario. You're my friend. All right, you are my friend, honestly. Like now, like even if it's 3 days, you're my friend already. So if we were having like those back to back conversations every single day, at some point I would tell you, hey, if I just don't respond, I'm okay. I just need to take and focus my energy somewhere else. That's the first thing I would do. As soon as I see that we're both going back and forth a lot during our conversations, that's the first thing I would do. Get it out of the way. And
Got
I'd be
it.
like, if I do need help or something, and it's all in the message. If I do need help or something, you would have never received this message. Like, so like just be mindful about it. And I'm not gonna lie, you can notice like this when something's wrong with me, because my energy is so positive and bright. So if I'm really going through something, you can instantly see it. I'm not afraid of crying. I'm not afraid of holding back. I'll just straight up do it. So you'll know there's something wrong.
Nice.
Yeah. And
Got it. Got it.
and yeah, so that's why I can kind
Thank
of
you.
do that.
Okay.
I can do that without like,
Good.
yeah. Nah, I mean
Well,
it's
thank you for clarifying that too, because I think I was understanding it. I think I was understanding it like a different way. Because you know what I've experienced with some people, with
mm,
definitely young men, is that sometimes if they're going through something, they don't want to burden somebody else, right? So then they'll be like, well, like they will be like, well, I'm just not gonna respond because I'm going through too much stuff. I don't want to burden that person with my stuff. So then they hold it in. And I think when I came to you and I said, who do you talk to about stuff that you're going through? You said now you talk about with yourself,
mm.
right? But before,
I was always in relationships. I've been that guy to I'm like, this is serious now. Like I've always been that guy to like have a girlfriend. Like you wouldn't have never seen me without a girlfriend. This is the first time I probably since middle school that I don't have a girlfriend. That's a long time.
mm,
So I would have those people there, and I didn't know that every time I shared a little pain, they would hold that with me, right? So they had to deal with my pain, but they also had something going with their life. So every time I was feeling negative, I'd give it to them and I'd feel so relieved and I'd be like, "Okay, I threw it away. I'm good." But I'm sorry.
yeah, it's
But
good.
that that person would then like their energy would change. They'd be different, and I guess because we were always in this relationship, where we were constantly talking on the phone, seeing each other at school, stuff like that. So you start noticing their energy kind of like fade away in a way. So you're like,
Yeah,
is it I noticed it really a lot of times, and I knew that I was doing it, but I didn't wanna own up to it. I didn't I was just like, "It's better
yeah,
for it to go away." So, I would do that throughout all of my relationships, but at the same time, you know how we put on this mask to be perceived in a certain way?
yeah,
I had that mask on
yeah,
for being like, because I had been called a lot of names because I'm so emotional and I'm so, I just show it, and I'm not afraid to show it, that
yeah,
people would be like, "You're
yeah.
this, you're that, you're" yeah. So they would say that, and I don't know where I was going. I just lost track.
Mm, yeah. Well, you were just talking about how before you were always in relationships, so you would tell that stuff to your people in the relationships and just let it go. And then you, at
Yeah.
some point, you must have learned that you couldn't do it because you have to now go to yourself, or maybe you just realize that now after this most recent relationship.
Mm. Okay, touching back to that mask, the reason I said that was because it was also a way for me to show them that I wasn't those names that they were calling me. It was also like,
Mhm.
if I could have a girlfriend, I'm not this name that you're calling me anymore. You
Yeah.
know? So
Yeah.
I had that, and I also had this way of giving them this negative energy that I was carrying with me. And then
Yeah.
it was so many relationships that I finally came to understand, especially in this last one, that giving them that energy really ruins that person, and we
Mm.
don't realize that. So sometimes when like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. No. Thank you. Thank you. How many of your peers, like young men that you connect with, talk about these kind of topics?
no one.
Mm.
'Ca
Why
I
do you
mean,
think that
I
is?
don't know if they're it's not because they're open to it, but I try, right? Like, I really try to be like, "Hey, what's wrong?" But they have that mask on. They have this, "No, I'm tough" mask.
Mm.
"No, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna tell you I'm not going through anything" mask. But I know deep down that they're going through something, and sometimes I say things that hurts them, and I see them cry. But that's a one-on-one conversation,
Mm.
like, they're going through stuff,
Yeah.
but they have this tough
Yeah.
mentality, tough mask, and so they don't really like to talk about it, and so I just don't even
Yeah.
bother them with it, because it's like I don't
Yeah.
wanna ruin that friendship or relationship that we have.
Yeah. Man, I think this has been a great conversation. I'm really appreciating you. I think parents who are raising teenagers, teachers who are out there. I think you have a level of consciousness, of wisdom, of thoughts that you know. That's why we started Ever Forward. We want young men to have a space to be able to express all of their humanness, right?
Mhm, mhm,
As opposed to having to pretend like, oh, I'm not feeling this, or
mhm,
I'm not allowed to feel this, or I can't, right? And I think maybe the last question I have for you, I mean, and I didn't mean to ask you some of these questions because maybe you have a question for me. I don't really know, but I would say, where did you get this from? Like, did it come from those relationships that then you realize that you can't share it with everyone? Because that takes some awareness. There's some awareness to be able to say, I'm carrying some stuff. I don't and I'm gonna give you later. You didn't ask my opinion, but I'm gonna give you my opinion. I don't know that it's enough for you. Well, I'm gonna take that back. I don't want to say it like that. That's actually the way I want to say it. I was going to say because I don't really believe this. I was gonna say I don't know if it's enough for you to just take all of your problems and carry them by yourself all the time. And maybe it works right now. Maybe right
mhm,
now in this phase of your life, that the stuff you're going through, you can just look in the mirror and do your process and deal with it. Actually, I was gonna say that I don't know if that's enough, but it's working for you. But I
mhm,
would I would invite you to be prepared for a time growing up, just evolving as a man in this world, that you may need some additional support. That carrying the load by yourself may work for a season,
mhm,
but it may not be the way it's supposed to work. I don't think that we were supposed to do it alone, even if we're strong enough to do it alone. At some point, and what we've seen in the world is that life hits us hard.
mhm.
And sometimes we got the stuff we can just handle by ourselves. Boom, I got this. But at what point do we believe or have confidence or trust that we can not have to do it alone? That's kind of the better way to say what I thought I was going to say at first.
So, I've I've noticed that, I mean, you can't carry everything alone, obviously, because I had those people there that I had them carry my weight for a long time, right? But I guess that when I reflected about all of my problems and everything that I was going through, I just became this, like, you could say, like, I was this dark light before, this red light, and that I just became this white radiant light afterwards, after I released everything that I was holding, not just to the relationships, but to the mirror too. And then I also, like, I know that it's not possible to carry everything by yourself. I know that for a fact. So you do have to express it to someone. And it's like, I don't know when that's going to be again for me, because I know for a fact that, so right now I don't have any problems, but if something was to come up and I would try to deal with it, it would hurt me. So I would probably go and try to find a vessel for them to keep it for me, and then I'd leave that vessel and go somewhere else, right? And
Mm,
but it's also that, like, so this is how I think of it. We're let's say we're talking, we're having this conversation right now, and I have going through all these problems. You have your problems, you have your mess, the things you carry inside. If came here to you and I gave you all of these problems, these
yeah.
lead up to more problems and stack more problems up for you, like things you didn't think about, maybe that I'm thinking about, and you're like, wow, like he's thinking like this, so now this and this, and now you have now more negativity that you didn't even know you had, right? So now
Mm,
that I'm okay, you're not okay, right? So I'd rather keep that to myself and
mm,
let those things go for me without giving it to anyone, because I don't want to give you more things to deal with. And that's for everyone. So that's kind of like, so that's kind of the reason why I hold it in at the same time, but I do know that I'm not always going to
yeah.
be allowed to keep it in.
Okay, good. Let me oh man, I'm glad you said that. Thank you. Thank you for being aware of that and for being mindful of that. And I want to say to you, listen, you never need to worry about it being too much for me. Okay? So I just want to say, I'm saying it out loud just so you hear it now. So you don't have to worry about that. Here's what some young men do, and I want to tell you that you're not the only one who I appreciate that thought process. But let me just tell you what happens.
Mhm,
They will know that I'm busy, I'm doing stuff, I'm traveling, I'm here, there. And so they will tell themselves, Branch is too busy. I don't want to bother him. So I'm gonna just carry it. And
mhm,
they'll be on my mind. Like they'll be on my mind. And I'll be like, hey, what's going on? No response. Right. That's what I was telling
mhm,
you about that no response thing.
mhm,
I'm like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? Hey, nothing, no response, no response. Weeks, months. Where are you? Like I'm now I'm about to come hunt you down, right? It's kind of like, and when I finally hear from them, like when they finally realize that I'm about to like go and really track them down or show up at their job or somewhere, right? They know that I'm like, oh, I've been going through XYZ. Why are you not talking about it? Well, I know you're busy. I'm like, don't think for me. Don't don't make up an excuse that you think I'm going to tell you, because that's a story you tell yourself. And so I'm just telling you as a new young man in this work, and who may be able to find a way to be a part of the work we're doing ever forward. I want to encourage you that with me, don't worry about that. Like if I'm at a place in my life where I got too much, I'm always going to be transparent with you. But I've been doing this for a lot of years. I've been doing this work for 17 years, and officially with Ever Forward. And even before that, I was mentoring young people and people in my life. So I just want to encourage you that is something that I really just give you the room just to say, if you ever feel like you get to that place, you need to talk, just give me a call, send me a
right,
text. Like, because we I think we all, like, I'm on a men's team, right? So
mhm,
every Tuesday night from 7 to 10 p.m. I'm with my men, right? And I got a
mhm,
space that sometimes I'm there to help, sometimes I'm there and I have a need.
mhm,
Sometimes I'm there to give, and sometimes I'm there to get,
mhm.
right? As being a part of the circle. And so um some people don't have that in their life. They don't have a place that if they need to just go and like let off some steam, they had a place that they could go do it. And I think that that's the lessons that I wish when I was your age somebody told me, because I totally kept everything to myself. You know what I'm saying?
I have a question for you, because you're saying this.
Yeah.
So, as a mentor, and for you to like do this for many years, how do you deal or cope with all of this stuff that everyone gives you? Because I'm pretty sure like you're such an open person and you do this type of work that people go up to you and tell you what they go through. So how do
Yeah.
you deal with all of that? Because as a person who tries to help other people,
Yeah.
you know how I had to deal with it, and then I carry it, and then it bothers me. It's really
Yeah.
hard to carry all of that. So how do
Yeah.
you carry that and then let that go for it not to bother you and for you to continue doing what you're doing?
Hmm. Do you see what I just did right there?
You were breathing and then you let it all out.
Yeah. I do a lot of breathing.
I do
I
too.
do I do a lot of practices, a lot of mindful practices. Um, I do a lot of that. I take deep breaths many times a day. I don't often sit and, as much as I want to be able to sit and meditate and I've been to several meditation retreats, and they say, every morning do it for this long. And I just found that I just on all day long, on a daily basis, I'm constantly just getting real present.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I'm getting ready to want to lash out at somebody on the freeway because they're on texting and they're moving in my lane, like I just do a lot of breathing. So I think, and I've learned that over the process. I didn't learn that in the beginning. In the beginning, I take it all in, and I found myself. I didn't know my limits, right? Like I think I'm pretty strong emotionally and mentally and physically.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just take it in, and I didn't know that my body was like taking it all in and like storing it inside.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that time I wasn't on a men's team. I didn't have a place that I could go and let some stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
Young people would tell me stuff they were going through in their life, and I would listen. I would keep it in confidence, and I'd be like, "I'm here for you," and I would take it in. Boom, boom, boom. Story, 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 story. And I just had dozens and dozens of stories in my life, right? And I've learned that if I take the stories in as a place that is my job to hold them and fix them, that's when it does me a disservice. But what if I just take them in as a place that I'm just gonna hold space for you? Like let's imagine that you and me are in a space right now. Like imagine there's a circle, right? There's a
Mm-hmm.
circle around us right here.
Okay.
And when you say something to me, I'm letting it just hold there in the circle. Because I'm trusting that the wisdom of the ancestors, the wisdom of people before me, the wisdom of people I've never met, the wisdom of people who I know currently can help whatever situation that we may come across, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I get clear about that, then I don't have to worry that I'm trying to fix all the problems for all the young people that I was working with. So I had to learn. I learned the hard way. I learned just overwhelming myself with all the stuff that I didn't know how to let go of. And so now when I'm holding space, when they tell me, I take it, I bring it to me, I listen, and I don't drag it inside of me so that I'm carrying it also. Because the goal of somebody letting it go doesn't mean that when you described earlier that you would need to let go of some stuff, so you would hand it to them and then they would carry it. It's like, well, what if we just decided that it didn't need to be carried, that it needed to be seen and looked at from the outside and be like, say, what can we do to kind of break this down in smaller pieces? Maybe I'll take a little piece of it because I know somebody I can connect you with to help you with this piece, but I can't take all that stuff right there. But let's just it's right here.
Mm-hmm.
And every time we meet, the stuff is going to be there in the middle. And no one of us says, you're not
Nobody
carrying
can
all of it by yourself.
leave it there.
We're carrying it together, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
not carrying it on me. I'm carrying it in the connection with you, that if you need something, I know, I hear the story. The
Oh,
story
okay.
is kind of like in the middle space, kind of like you and me between the screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you see me on the screen, I see you on the screen, but when you tell me something, that story doesn't have to like come to me, and then if you tell me something, I don't have to like wear that you said 200 kg, that's like 400 pounds. I don't have to wear that load on me. I can just be like, man, thank you for sharing that, man.
Mm-hmm.
Man, look at that. Look, and it's just right here in the middle between us. Like, look at that weight that you've been carrying by yourself. Like, how about we just look at the weight and just like name what parts of it that we really need to deal with right now? As opposed to you telling me, I then weigh it, and then we leave the conversation, and I'm like dragging, and you're like, "Hey, I feel so much better now." Right on. And it's like, no, 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 that's not how it needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't know any better, you just do what you know how to do.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that was a long answer, but that's how I analyze what I try and do.
Nah, it's okay. I love that answer because I mean I do that too, and that's something that I would learn during quarantine, like to meditate, to breathe, and it's so powerful. And I wish everybody did it,
Mm,
especially more guys, because they have that weight, right? But they don't.
yeah.
I personally, I don't use my social media anymore. It's not something that I
Mm,
connect to because I realize that you're always comparing your life to somebody else, and
mm,
it's everybody's trying to better themselves than who they really are, and
yeah.
you're never you. You're this thing that you want people to know about you. You're this thing that you want people to be like, oh, he's this, but really that's not you. But that they think that that's gonna make them
Mm,
happiness, but really they're gonna be happy if they were just them, and they held that in with them, and then they just were breathing and relaxed and just. And I'm always present in the moment as well. So that's something I learned, and that I think that's why I'm okay with people giving it to me now. And because you said that you leave it in the moment, you leave it with their connection. That's kind of what I'm doing now. So I'm glad that you
mm,
said that because it's something I'm doing now.
good. Well, maybe I think I have an idea that, and maybe let's close the show because I think that maybe this next step for you and I is to talk about. I believe that um, you there may be something that you can do to help us move this movement forward. Like, the goal of this campaign is to collect 1 million masks from around the world. Like, I don't know 1 million people, so it's not going to be me going out finding 1 million people. It's going to be igniting the energy of the community and young people. And I think that what you can be able to speak to is being a young man who is getting clearer about your own full range of emotional language and intelligence. And I think that as much as I talk to young people and ask a lot of questions, and I have a lot of knowledge because I've asked a lot of questions,
Mhm.
you are in that world right now. And I think that you can translate these bigger messages that sometimes seem too complicated for some people to a very simple way of somebody like your age in your community being able to say, well, maybe I'll just try it. I've invited dozens of young people to workshops and who never show up, and I don't take it personal. But you got invited, and there was something in you that said, you know what, I'm gonna just try it out. I'm gonna just test it out.
I
What can it
love
hurt?
experiments. I mean, it can never hurt. It can never
Right.
hurt just to try something out. And that's
Yeah.
just me and my nature, I guess.
Well, and then maybe you have an opportunity right now to change more lives, like you said you wanted to do. You said in the beginning, you said, I want to help people change lives.
That is very true. And I want to use my words to help people. Like the way we're having this conversation, if it
Yeah.
makes one person happy, if it's
Mm.
changed a person, that already is success for me. It doesn't matter how little or how big this gets. If one person can take something away from this podcast and the conversation that we've had,
Yeah.
I I just wish that this whole bubble, this whole rock that we're living on, I wish everybody knew about this and thought the same way that we do.
Mm.
I want to use my voice to inspire people. I want people to realize that they don't have to go through that suffering that they're going through. I want people to that's just me that I want people to learn that they don't always have to be that person that they're showing the world. They can be the person who they want to be. If you want to
Mm.
be whatever it is, if you want to be a songwriter, a poet, a motivational speaker, whatever it is, you can be that. Just put your mind to it and don't let people tell you differently. I
Yeah.
hate that hate that's in the world. I hate all the negativity that's in the world. I wish everyone was positive. And if I can take my voice and make this get a step further for the next generation or the generation below that one, then I will do something about it.
Yeah.
And that's my end goal. So if
All right.
I can help,
Well,
I'm sorry. So if this is your project, this is your big thing, and now that I'm a part of it, I can say because I'm in this podcast, um, I just hope that this gets to where you've always wanted it to get to. I wish that everyone takes something away from it, and I hope it does, and it does happen.
I believe it will. I was only going to say, I am very proud to have met you. I want you to take those words that you just said. I want to use my voice to inspire people. I want you to write it on a poster. I want you to put it on your wall.
Let me write it on this paper before I forget it.
I want you to like take that, and I want you to like see it every morning. Maybe you probably already say it to yourself in the mirror. Maybe that is, but I want to use my words to inspire my voice. I want to use my voice to inspire people. And I truly, I'm amazed by your words, brother. And I think that any adults listen to this, I wasn't talking like you at 18. So I just want to say, brother, I have a feeling that something in this connection is going to hopefully open some doors and is going to move you to an amazing place. And I hope that I hope that soon we get to collaborate and work together on something. Thank you. Is there any last word? You just kind of like dropped the mic right there, but you may have another something you want to say. Is there anything you want to say to people out there, adults, young people, young men, whoever? Is there a word you want to say as we close out? And I just want to give you the last word.
Yeah. For anybody who was in this podcast, thankful and I'm grateful that you guys made it this far, first of all, because I talk a lot. And I just want to say that don't let anybody tell you what you have to be or who you are. Don't let them decide for you. You decide your future for who you are. It doesn't matter at what age you are. It doesn't matter how much knowledge you have. It doesn't matter age. Age is just a number. So to be honest, if you want to be what you say you want to be, you're gonna be it. So don't let anyone tell you different and trust the process. Everything happens for a reason. And that's all I have for them. I could speak so much more,
Boom.
but
Well, there. I mean, hey, I think that this won't be the last time we're gonna hear from you.
it's
I
definitely
have a
not because I was
feeling. I
gonna
have a
nag you and
feeling.
I was gonna tell you that I'm gonna come back. Even if you don't want me, I'm gonna come
Okay.
back.
Well, if I don't, that's really connected to the conversation we just had. I'm really proud you just said that. So you are, and I have a feeling that there's even more that something you don't even know that I'm thinking about that we're just going to talk about after this is over. So listen, you've given me a breath of fresh air today. I thank you. I want to appreciate you. And folks out there, listen, this is maybe a little different than our other podcasts, but for rightfully so. Listen, if you ever want to make a mask, you can go to 100kmasks.com, make a mask, share it with somebody in your community, invite somebody who you're comfortable with to talk about the mask that you drew, and know that you are a part of this movement. Not only like Kevin here is a part of our movement now, that he made a mask, and we're going to show our masks together. But if you want to make a mask, please do that. And let's do that. We'll take a photo. We'll take a photo of us. I don't even know how he does that. Let's just show it. Show your mask. That's how you do it. How we do it.
What am I doing?
You just take it. We're gonna pretend like take a picture. I'm gonna take a picture of you with your mask. Actually, I'm gonna stop recording. Let me stop recording. So, thank you, brother. Let me stop recording. If what you heard today you enjoyed, if you've listened to this and you found something inspiring, please like and subscribe to this podcast. That's the best way for someone to find this podcast, maybe like you did. Please tell someone about it. If you know, listen to some of our previous episodes, and if one of them rings out to you, please share it with somebody you know. We also invite people to join us in a face-to-face where they come together with another person to make a mask and talk about that mask together. There's short conversations, about 20, 30 minutes. So if that's something that's interesting to you, please send us a message, send us in the comments below, let us know that you're interested in that. And we look forward to you joining the movement of the Million Mask Movement. And check out our new shirt. I don't know if you can see it, but this is our new shirt, the Million Mask Movement. And so we'll have these soon available. But we look forward to you being a part of the movement and supporting our work. Please consider supporting the work that we do in Ever Forward and in the work that we do in the Million Mask Movement to let people around the world realize that they're not alone. Thank you.